Welcome back to another MotoGP Mac podcast. Jake is going to laugh, of course, because I finally said it, even though I said I'd never say it again. How have you been doing this week, Jake?
Oh, hunky dory, just kicking back, watching my bikes going in, wishing for
Yes.
warmer days,
Oh, we're in the middle
buying
of an
parts,
we're in the middle of an Arctic cold weather spurt here in Ireland, and now Ireland is not like the rest of the world, where in the States you might get like 4 feet of snow and things may slow down or maybe grind to a halt. We get a light little sprinkling, like a powder on a cake, and the whole
yeah,
country, oh Jesus, can't come to work today, oh boy, Jesus, so too dangerous,
yeah,
oh too dangerous.
yeah.
But yeah, so we're in the middle of an Arctic thing. There's white on the ground all day. It's great fun. But I suppose we have a secret that we've been holding back all week, and I'm surprised that we've actually been able to keep it under wraps. We haven't with a few people. A few people caught us out on it. But we had a very, very special guest join us last Monday when we recorded another podcast, another MotoGP Mac podcast. But we had Mr. Simon Crayfire on the channel, where we finally got to put some questions to him that we were itching about. And let's be fair, Jake, he shared some nuggets of information with
Yes,
us
he
about
did.
how things go and what goes on. So we've been talking about when we would air this, and we think kind of the best time to air this is like a little mini Christmas present to everyone. So if you go over to my community tab, there will be a poll there to say, which day do you want to listen to the Simon Crayfire podcast, either on the 26th or the 25th of December. Whichever one you want is the day that we'll put it out. So I think that Christmas Day is kind of handy because most people, so if they have kids or whatever, will just be able to kick back, relax, and chill out and actually listen to a full podcast with Mr. Crayfire. And if you don't believe that we did speak with Mr. Crayfire, I will put a picture here in a few minutes, and you will see Mr. Crayfire and myself and Jake's ugly mug on screen. But look, it was really, really good and really entertaining, actually, to spend over an hour and a half actually with Simon. He was absolutely brilliant with his time, with his information, and just how he was really calm, cool, and relaxed. And probably one of the best MotoGP chats that we've had. And always very good to chat with someone who's actually ridden a GP22. It
Yeah.
gives us so much good insight into what actually happens on a GP22 and why it is one. Well, we won't spoil it. Anyway, Alex Marquez, Jake, he's been pretty punchy with
Oh,
his words in the past week or so, hasn't he?
you ain't kidding. Jesus Christ. I mean,
Mm.
and you got to realize those two guys, Mark and Alex, live together, folks. So this was not a surprise. I'm really surprised. I mean, that Honda and the way they hate anything that says, they want their riders to cheerlead for them no matter what. They're
Mm-hmm.
calling up the HRC people, the execs from Honda, going, "Hey, you better have him respond to this, and he better sound nice." And you don't now. Does Marquez, the one brother, go against the other? It's a real drama affair there.
Well, yeah, but look, a lot of what he has said, right, is from what we've seen from the outside is absolutely bang on. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
Yep.
so it's not like Honda can put whatever PR around, they can get whoever to say whatever, right? But Mark went off sick. Absolutely no development was done on the bikes.
Yeah.
Mark comes back, starts barking orders. Alex says no one listens unless Mark says boo.
Right. It's the
There's your
animals
proof.
running the zoo. You should never have a rider dictating to a team. I'm sorry. I don't know how good, don't care how good it is. That rider should not be running the team. All right.
Okay, to a certain level, yes, right? Like a rider should be given the input to direct the team in where
Yeah.
they need to develop the bike. But the
Yeah.
rider shouldn't be the ringmaster of it going, you do this, you do that, you do this, you
Yes.
do that, you do this, you do. And that's what seems, look, that's a very positive thing as well, right? But I think it's quite wrong that Marquez has to be so open or open about it. Do you know what I mean? Or Honda need Marquez to be so open about it. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, like I've said this in the videos, that in my view they've wasted so much time not giving Paul and Alex even aerodynamic parts.
Yeah.
Go try this. Does this improve the front end of our bike?
Yep.
Yes or no? Right? Every single manufacturer runs aerodynamics, right? The aerodynamics that they were running have already been out there, so people have already tried them, and they're copying that design.
And especially in Honda's case, because you have Marc Marquez, whose style is different than absolutely everyone else is out there. So if something happens to Marquez, they have zero, absolute zero, data backed up. They're like, okay, unless another Marquez comes strolling through the door, okay, they got nothing because they didn't listen to the guys before him. They didn't listen to the Pole or the other Marquez, or even the what's his name, the test rider. But it's not that bright.
But I think this gives your open testing thing a kick in the balls, right?
Why?
Because they were just running around with data on an old bike for no reason.
But that's their problem. I'm saying open testing should be for everyone.
I know.
If you don't want to if somebody doesn't want to take advantage of it, that's their problem.
I know, but again, it just like it doesn't signal to me, I suppose, that Honda are really understanding that they're in an emergency.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And I suppose that's what it is. And I personally can't understand it, because if I was the same weight, the same height, the same chassis engine as a competitor, and he was half a second a lap faster than me, I'd be sleeping with his wife's sister or whatever it is to try and gain whatever insight I could gain into how do I beat this person. It doesn't seem to be coming with Honda. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you have executives doing it, handing referendums down, because what they're doing is human beings are creatures of habit. They go, oh, is Marquez fine? Okay, well, let's do what worked before. He'll ride around the problems and he'll make it work. They don't understand that. As long as I have Marquez, he's going to win. They think if Marquez comes out in a Chinese scooter, he's going to win a MotoGP race.
Yeah. Well, look, I would believe Marquez would be fast in a skip.
Yeah.
Right. Do you know what I mean? Or a bathtub, or
right.
He would, he'd be fucking faster than I would be anyway. I'm probably on an R1, right? But in that bathtub.
Yeah, that's like I try to tell people, and they go, "Oh, the bike's better because Marquez won." No, the rider never makes the bike better. He's just the guy that ran around the problems, okay, and won on a shit bike. I mean, a crap bike with a good rider does not make the bike any better. It's still a crap bike when he gets off it.
Exactly. Yeah. And look, I just think with it, it's just, for me, these things are now starting to come out, and it's very rare. Like, Paul was exactly the same. He's like, he wasted time and money just having me riding around doing nothing. Alex Marquez more or less confirmed what he was saying, and he was like, when Mark was away, nothing was really happening. Do you know what I mean? As soon as Mark started getting his head back into the game, he turned up in, what was it, Austria? Do you know what I mean? Started coming into the debriefs, pointing out problems, listening. Now, like, Bradle is a good rider, but I think he is, as a rider, is freaked out by Marquez, right? Even all since Moto 2 days up, he still knows that he's not the measure, and understands he's not the measure. So, but I just think, I suppose for me, when I look at it, it's just, I can't figure it out with Honda. Like, you have two. Like, Paul was a world champion in Moto 2, wasn't he?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
Alex is a 2-time world champion in Moto 3 and Moto 2. And you're not using them, even if it's the most mundane, stupid fucking. Like, this is the one now where they're trying a new titanium bolt on the fairing. Do you know what I mean? I'm out there. Do you know what I mean? Give them something to give you data back, rather than the two of them running around on an outdated bike that you already know that the data says that this bike is shit, doesn't work.
Yeah.
Try and improve aerodynamics. Try and improve, I don't know, run through the whole orchestra of Olin's suspension parts and find, is there something?
Yeah, at least step in shit somewhere along the line. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Something will stick. Something will stick. Yes, okay, there's a risk that they could bring that to another manufacturer, right? But do you fucking honestly think Ducati will give a flying fuck what Honda would bring?
Yeah.
They're already 7, 8 tenths of a second behind them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not going to find, no way are they going to find a fucking rocket. And then, like, Alex is literally just saying there, I was sitting there twiddling my thumbs, right? I knew before, or Paul was saying, I knew before the weekend what exactly problems I'm going to have, because guess what? It's been the same for the last 5 races, and we haven't changed anything, worked on anything, and you're just like, oh. But then Alex came out and he said something very interesting, and it's very hard to convey this, right? He said that Mark is not interested in titles anymore.
I think that was a PR bit. I hope not, because, you know, anytime any athlete who starts getting weirded out, if you see them, they have weird hairdos, it just, you know, cause and effect. And you see they start going sideways.
So here's my thoughts on it. And sometimes in these press things that a lot gets lost in translation, right? Is it that he doesn't want the Marc Marquez title anymore, as in crazy motherfucker that will always throw it up the inside of you, win at all costs?
I think, yeah.
Or is it world championship?
I think he's looking at it and going, you know what? Everyone expects me to win now, no matter what. And they do. Honda fans have this. He's going to win no matter what. We're back to the Chinese scooter deal. No matter what I ride, I'm going to make it win. And he's looking at a bike on, I can't do it anymore. I can't win on this bike. I'm a top 5 guy, you know, now, or a top 10 guy. And you know, everybody's going to be on me every weekend. I can't win on it. What's the matter? You know?
Yeah. And I think so. I think and I know this sounds like a really big claim, right? But I don't think, unless the bikes are equal, Marquez can win consistently. Do you know what I mean?
I think he's good enough that he can win on a lesser bike, much lesser bike. But if it gets too bad, I mean, you can't expect him to win with a bike with square wheels, you know?
Well, it does at the moment.
What?
Have square wheels.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought you meant it's winning. No, it's not winning.
Yeah, and it's not winning. Do you know what I mean? And like he can't outright that. And no one can. But like, I think even if he's like a half second bike, so I don't think he can overcome that. Like you look at it, like he used to make 5-6 bike lengths in the braking zone alone. Do you know what I mean? He can't do that anymore, and that's not down to the arm either. Right. That's down to progress in braking, suspension, aerodynamics, with all of which Honda are miles fucking behind now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Honda was never good, folks. Honda, they've only made one sweet handling bike since they've been back in MotoGP in 82 or 81, excuse me. And that was the NS 500 3-cylinder. And it was light and it was low powered. Okay.
I was 2 years of age.
All right. Go to hell. But anyhow, I remember it personally. But if you look at their DNA, it's always been good engine, crappy chassis. Now, with the 300 and 325 horsepower, which they're up to now because they always sandbag horsepower, the chassis engineering has become more critical and much harder to accomplish. It's like the Suzuki that might have won 2 races, but for the whole season, when they added that horsepower, it beat the hell out of that chassis. It was not what it used to be. That sweet handling Suzuki in 21 was not a sweet handling bike in 22.
Yeah, but
and the engine got beat to hell too, but we're not going to discuss that again.
Yeah, but but look, I think look, Suzuki winning 2 out of the last 3 races, that was just the perfect way to say arrivederci and ciao, or whatever you want to say it. But I think it was just.
And Pecco he was not running he was running at 80%. He was worried about falling the whole time. Yeah,
you couldn't have fit a credit card between the Pecco's cheeks. He was that tight over the course of the weekend.
You could see it.
But look, he did the job, and that's it. But I just think it's really, really helpful, actually, that Alex Marquez came out and gave us these insights into Honda. Now, we kind of knew it from the outside, but, you know, Mir and Rins are brilliant riders, and that's my fear now for them, that Like you look at what Repsol Honda has done to Jorge Lorenzo, brilliant rider, couldn't deal with it. You know, Polo Spagaro, very good rider, couldn't deal with it. Like if Spagaro comes out next season on the gas and starts finishing top 7, everyone's going to be looking at the Honda and going, all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If he can go to a gas or a KTM with your throw and automatically be back there, that's fine. But again, Alex Marquez is probably the happiest boy in this planet, in my view. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Getting off the Honda.
If he comes in after all this, right, and telling the truth, and he comes in and he starts doing well, say even the top 5, right? Marquez is going to look like an idiot for not transferring over to Ducati or Aprilia or somebody else, right? And that's in his own household, and they are so tight in their own household. Like I said, freakishly tight. You know, I swear. I look back and I swear that when they did that contract, that they had an out in the 3rd and 4th year.
I have no doubt that there's an out, but whenever these outs come,
the contracts ain't worth you wipe your ass with them. You know,
exactly, and that's where I suppose for me is that I would look at it in the way of like they probably do have an out, but there has to be an agreement to that out. Do you know what I mean?
And how embarrassed would Honda be to say, my bike's so bad, I have to force somebody to ride it? There's a big PR thing there too.
Yeah. And look, that's the thing. It's like if a rider doesn't want to ride it. Now, I'll go back to this with Marquez, right? If Mark Marquez turns around and says, I don't want to ride the Honda, I have a clause in my contract to say performance. And Honda must have something in theirs to say, well, look, okay, there is a performance thing, but if we're trying to work or whatever, Honda are the best box tickers in the world. Tick, 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 tick.
Yeah. But when they wrote that, oh God.
I know they were under pressure to get him to sign this, but they had to do something to protect them as well. I don't think the lawyers would.
Yeah, but they had no strength in those negotiations. Marquez had all the power in that because they wanted him and he had an out. He could go to Ducati in an instant. As a matter of fact, Ducati had also written him a contract and they were sitting there with 2 of them, right? So if you're Honda, you're gonna, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. You'll bend to get him to sign. And they got him to sign for 4 years. And they said the only reason he did the 4 was because they gave him such an easy out in the 3rd and 4th year. It makes sense as a businessman. As a businessman,
it does. It does.
I would see that it doesn't get easy out in the 3rd.
Yeah, but I don't think it does make sense then. But look, we'll wait and see. But I can't see Honda agreeing.
But the money.
I can't agree to Honda, or I can't see Honda agreeing to let him leave, go to Ducati, and then go fucking whoop him. I just can't see it. That would just the fella that did that contract would be probably in bits in Japan, and I not mean in bits upset. I mean in bits and pieces, as in like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But Honda's already losing the war because everybody knows that the Ducati is leaps and bounds better than the Honda. It's not just, we have to make some adjustments and it's going to be just as good. No, it's the basis. They're apples and oranges bikes.
They are, but we'll come to that note later on because there's a question in Ask Mac later on that I think will be very, very interesting to answer. But Pit Byra during the week again, he's like, maybe we rushed too many rookies.
Yeah. Maybe.
It's like, duh, dipshit. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Now, what I do like is since your man Guidotti, kind of middle of this year, Byra has taken a back step in the team. I don't know, have you noticed? But it's all channeling towards your man Guidotti now. Do you know what I mean? Who seems to have taken over the reins properly, and he was definitely keen on signing Jack, or was key to signing Jack, and also getting over those Ducati engineers and etc. But he's saying like, I think we've been a bit too hasty. I don't think they've been too hasty bringing people into MotoGP. I think they've been fucking too hasty in getting rid of them.
Look at Lacona.
Yeah, look Lacona. Even look at Remy Gardner this year. Again, the same sort of deal is like Lacona had a couple of years. I will give them that, right? He hadn't enough to mature. Fair enough, but they gave him a couple of years. Do you know what I mean? Like bringing a rookie in, getting rid of him after a year. What's the point? Do you know what I mean? Now I know they had to put a bum on the seat, but surely they could have brought someone that would have had an idea of riding a big bike.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Rather than bringing up a rookie who was used to a Moto 2 bike. And look, okay, the difference may not be massive anymore. It is still big, don't get me wrong, but it's not as big as the challenge that Binder faced coming up from Moto 3. But I was just looking at it, and like I still to this day stick with that. If you go to a series that you're not ready for, yeah, sure, there's going all this fucking talk of in at the deep end, learning and whatever. Mm-hmm. If you're not ready to learn it, you're just going to fucking sink like a stone. And a lot of people say that, like, what's his name, Raul Fernandez was pushed into it. I don't believe that.
No,
for a second.
Not in a second. No freaking way.
No,
that makes no sense business wise either. So from a brilliant standpoint, it just doesn't. Yeah.
You put a kid in a candy store. You said, "Do you want to don't touch anything?" Right?
Yeah.
Of course they're going to touch it, right? So, do you want to go to MotoGP? Yeah, 100%. Are you ready for it? No. Do you want to go? Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give it a shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, what's the worst that can happen? And of course they fill you with, Joe, we'll give you the support, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, we'll give you whatever. And they probably did, to the point that you started acting the arsehole and you got slapped.
Yeah. Spanked.
And yeah, exactly. And I just think that I think as a management team or as a team within KTM, there may be, in my view, looking at riders in rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a great rider, but, right? But never mind the but, we'll help him, we'll fix that. Rather than saying, you're a really good rider, but you're not ready. Do you know what I mean? And then trying to figure out, okay, who do we get to replace
Well, you know what they're doing? They're looking at the Japanese saying, well, their bike stinks, all right? And they got the best rider. And they're looking at Stoner, which, remember when Ducati picked up Stoner for cheap and he was phenomenal? They're trying to find another Stoner, so like an unknown that's going to ride around the KTM's problems and make him a star. Right? Let's just put these riders through and see if one of them sticks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But unfortunately, it's actually brand damaging what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? Because they're not actually giving people enough time.
Yeah, if they don't find that rider, you look bad. You know, you say?
Yeah, but like even then, but then when you dump that rider after 1 year, everyone's like going, "The fuck are you doing?" Like, do you know what I mean? Why are you doing? And then like you have the likes of Costa coming up, right? Who is their absolute golden child, right? Now we know Augusto Fernandez is going to win Rookie of the Year next year.
He has to, yeah,
has to, right?
Yeah.
But his place is under threat straight away from Acosta. And fucking, do you know what I mean? Like, Acosta will decide whether he wants to go to MotoGP or not.
He was supposed to go in 2023 and didn't.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the power that he has within the team. Like, he's another Marquez power starting within KTM. Like, he's like, no, I'll decide when I go there. I will, right? Are they going to get rid of Pole, or would they get rid of Augusto? Augusto Fernandez, unless he beats the living shit out of Pole, they're not going to sack Pole. Do you know what I mean? For next, so he could be out in his arse.
Yeah, because they only have so many slots.
Well, they have 4 bikes, 4 slots.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I just don't know. I just think, have they set it up again for failure? Because like Pit Byra said that, no, we're looking at Augusto Fernandez as a long-term project. Is a long-term project to Pit Byra a year?
Yeah, yeah. He makes it through the whole season. It's a long project. Yeah.
Jesus, yeah. Long, expensive projects. Yeah. But look, I just think it's quite interesting. Like I think they know they fucked a little bit up and damaged people's trust in the brand. Not mechanically or anything like that, but and it comes into a question that we're going to be asked later on. But for me, it would definitely probably be an influence. All right, I would say. Okay, so the Yamaha merry-go-round.
Oh man.
So
let's off, by the way, everybody knows I'm a tech guy and I'm not really a brand guy. So I'd like to see different engines and different chassis. Like I like the KTM because it's a tube steel trellis chassis instead of the aluminum chassis box section. But I do like the inline 4 versus the V4. It's just that I want to be realistic about it. I don't want to get people's hopes up too high. When you're looking at a dead end and going, oh yeah, I don't want to be a cheerleader and say, oh, it's great for somebody to hurt somebody's feelings. It's the same way with Honda. When you hear people go, I hope they do this, I hope they do that. We have one member who's an absolute fanatic Honda fan, but nicest guy in the world. And he says, I hope this, I hope this. I just hope he doesn't expect them to win. You know what I mean? I hope what we're telling him sinks in and he's not just.
Yeah. Now, look, I just think this whole Yamaha circus going around is like with your man Viegas turning around and saying it's going to be VR46 Yamaha 2024.
Oh, that
Then Yamaha, or who is it then? Then Uchiho came out and said, no, not happening. Not at all.
Yeah.
We're very happy with our contract. Actually, just so you know, we have a option for 2 more years after that. And then Jarvis came out and was like, well, yeah, we're actively searching for one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Ducati, first of all, saying that, it was only a very short-term thing, not a long-term thing. And then they're saying, oh, we're very happy, and VR46 are very happy with our performance. We're happy with their riders. So
Ducati came out. The 8 bikes, everybody thinks it's a great advantage. No, the 8 bikes for Ducati was a bad mistake, and they want no parts of it. They really don't. They're just trying to ease their way out. They did that. They put the 8 bikes out for Dorna, and no good deed goes unpunished. Now there's, so now they want out of it. So you have one side wanting out, right? And the other side wanting in. It fits. I think what they say.
I think it does fit, but I think there's so many problems that come along with it. Firstly, I definitely do think, and I think where this worries Ducati is Ducati want Bezzecchi.
Yeah,
110%. I think they want Bezzecchi, no doubt. And if he's on a Yamaha in 2024, that kind of only gives them next year to make that move. Now, they absolutely can. Don't get me wrong. Jorge Martin's contract is up next year. So if they think this guy is the future, get rid of Zarco, maybe keep Martin.
Yeah. Zarco as a test rider makes perfect sense. So
it does. It just depends. Does he want to do that?
Yeah. Hey, it beats a blank.
Well, yeah. I just think, I think he's come to the stage that unless next year is an absolute brilliant year, that he knows that, look, he's not going to be world champion.
Yep.
So, I mean, maybe that dream a bit is over.
He hasn't won a race yet. Let's face it. Let's call a spade a spade.
In MotoGP, yeah. No, again, he is the same as Alex Marquez. I would class him on that level. He's won 2 MotoGP or Moto2 World Championships. So he is. There is no doubt he's a very, very talented rider and is brilliant racecraft.
He's a top tier rider.
Yeah, but he's not a Pecco or he's not a Bastianini or a Marquez or Fabio. No, actually, I do want to say, I know you mightn't be a football fan, but there was a good bit of crack going on between Cal Crutchlow from the UK and Fabio Quartararo from France. They were playing each other in the World Cup semi-finals on Saturday night. And England have a song, or the UK has a song called "It's Coming Home." So it's like football's coming home, and meaning that the World Cup is coming home. And Fabio wrote to thing when France beat them, was like, at Cal, no, it's not. So, but it was good to see the crack between them. But look, for me, I genuinely do worry about all of this going on. Like, there is truth somewhere, and there is definitely a negotiation going on, right? You don't have this amount of conversation or smoke without there being a fire somewhere. And I genuinely believe there is a conversation going on.
I hate to hear the whispers of Yamaha leaving MotoGP altogether.
I don't think that's going to happen for a while, though. I don't think that's going to happen, especially if Jarvis is coming out saying we need another team and we're actively looking. That means that there's a commitment there for a couple of seasons. Personally, I think what could drive Yamaha out is if they do go 2 or 3 years with 2 bikes.
Yeah.
Then that's pointless.
Yeah.
It's pointless. Running 2 bikes, completely pointless.
Especially running in 19th, 18th, because they're at a risk of losing Fabio if they don't get their their shit together.
Yep. Now, saying that, right? If they lost Fabio, how would Jorge Martin get on that bike? This is why I asked, right? Okay, take the Yamaha performance out of it, okay? Have you seen how far he hangs off that bike?
Oh my God, yeah.
I think he would suit an inline 4 riding style. So I think he and we know he's an aggressive person on the bike. So he would drive the front of that Yamaha, which we know is what you need to do, into the ground. So losing Fabio is a big thing for Yamaha, but we said that too with losing Rossi in 2010.
Yeah.
It was 2010, 2011, 2011, whichever. And it was Rossi actually came back with his tail between his legs. Right,
yeah.
Right. So, I think there's a natural cycle, but I think, like Jarvis has said, that the optimum number of bikes for them is 4. And if they have to go 2 or 3 years only running 2, they're not going to get the data they need. They're not going to get the feedback they need. And someone in Japan is going to turn around and say, what is the point if we can't get someone that's going to take our bikes and do this? And this is why I think if it is VR46, now there is the other side that Grassini is out of contract the end of 2023.
Yeah, but Grassini's doing so well with Ducati. Does it make sense for them to switch over?
It doesn't. It makes no sense at all. Because there's no attachment there. There's no brand. Like, they would have to rebuild that brand, whereas that 46 brand
is known for Yamaha.
Is known for Yamaha. Do you know what I mean? But again, I think I genuinely think that they would go into this with their eyes open. They would know for 2 years or so that this was not going to be the most amazing project. If you look at it in the way of Marini, I don't know. I think I won't say that he's a bad rider, because he's not. He's a world champion, but I just don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Against the current level, he's had a couple of good races, and
yes, he's had flashes. You said he had flashes of brilliance, but then it's not
But
consistent.
when I look at it, like, when Vietti is ready, like there's there's two seats in VR46, not many seats around now in MotoGP. If Bezzecchi does for some reason stay with VR46, who would they give the opportunity to? You know, and I would think that Marini's had 5 or 6 seasons throw at that stage. You know what I mean? Would it be like, okay, it's time to step aside? But I just think, for me, it makes most sense that it will be VR46 Yamaha. As we mentioned earlier, contracts aren't even worth the paper that they're written on. So I think it could happen. But I think VR46 would have to go into it more so in a way of, I think they would be wagging the dog rather than the dog wagging them. Do you know what I mean? Wagging the tail. So I think it would definitely be an interesting collaboration. But there's all this talk, and I think maybe your man Viegas jumped the gun a bit. Do you know what I mean, with announcing it, and now everyone's on the defensive. And of course, if they say no, there's no negotiations on, that means yes, there is.
Yeah.
But we can't. But we're not going to say it. But I know people are saying, Joe, as well, that it makes no sense that why would you get off at Ducati and get onto a Yamaha, and if you didn't have to, like, yes, there is a massive performance step, but if Yamaha could turn around and promise you, well, this is what we're going to go, and you buy into that development plan, and then they say, and then by the way, Joe, that 20 million you're paying for your Ducatis, we'll give it to you free.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you have 20 million less to find. You have a plan that it's going to be in 5 years' time. We're going to be back at number one. This is how we're going to do it. You're going to go, all right, okay. All right.
So sounds good.
So over the next 5 years, what you're saying to me is I don't need to worry about that 100 million that I'd be spending on bikes.
Yep.
Is that what you're saying to me? Yeah.
That's a hell of an enticement.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Yeah. That's fine. But you need to keep your end, and if you don't, you're in breach of contract. We can sue you.
Yeah.
That's my view of it anyway. Do you know what I mean? And I think you would be an absolute lunatic to turn that down.
Yeah. Because they say that the Ducati, the cost for those Ducatis are not cheap. It's not like you walk in and they're footing the bill. They're not. They're making money on that franchise.
Oh yeah, they are. Ducati are definitely making money on it. Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Razlan, he's kind of one of these people. I find it personally very hard to take to him as a person. Do you know what I mean? When I wonder, does he piss an awful lot of people in the paddock off?
Yeah.
Personally, and look, this is just my any kind of interviews that I've felt with him. Firstly, they're never kind of genuine. I feel. Do you know what I mean? When you see people talk to him or asking questions, always feels kind of guarded, and I don't know. But like he's going through the motions, I would call it, within MotoGP right now, and he came in with all guns blazing. Moto3 team, Moto2, and MotoGP with Petronas. Now, I know I'm aware he had the Moto2 and 3 teams before, but he came in, he hit the jackpot. Like, he had satellite Yamahas. He found Quadraro, which is fair play to him, right?
Yeah, it was a hell of a risk. He wasn't doing that well.
And it paid off. And season 1 was brilliant. Season 2 wasn't too bad either. Like, Morbidelli did well. Fuck it, then season 3, season 4.
Done. Yeah.
No,
I've read that he's not that nice to deal with, by the way. Also, he's not really well liked, and they kept him because of that, they kept him in the back behind the cameras. And then when he had to come out in front of the cameras, it didn't go too well. So like I said, he's guarded. He's not open. you take what he says with a grain of salt.
With a grain of salt, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was just like one of the things then, though, I was looking at kind of his journey is like he had, then he had Rossi in the team, and he openly said that he didn't really like Rossi.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that was a great for PR. Yeah,
dumbass. Yeah, and then this year, Davi, like, it could it have actually got any worse? And so like you look at, in my view, how he looked into that Aprilia gig.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But I think the worrying thing for me is how he's lost two in the space of 2 years. He's lost two major title sponsors.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives me a thing about going on. Is like, is he over promising, under delivering? Now, look, I can't blame any company from walking away from RNF Yamaha this year, especially with Yamaha's in general's results.
Uh-huh.
But I thought by signing with the Aprilia team, like with you as an Italian brand, right? I thought they might stick around because there was an Italian brand bike there. Do you know what I mean? Something to be very proud of. But it just shows you, like, you know what I mean? They left maybe due to performance, but also I think there was argy-bargy or difficulties behind it. But I just find it very, very interesting then that they've hooked up with Aprilia. And is this kind of, how would I say, is that relationship going to sour quickly with Razlan? Do you know what I mean? Should they just tell Razlan, shut up and sit down? You know what I mean? And the rest of them run it. And has he looked into another Quadraro with Oliveira on that?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
See, as a fan, I don't see this big speed with Oliveira. I've seen him in wet. Okay. But what I do is I will, but the insiders all say he's lightning fast, and they're there at the track. They're the one with the timing things. So I do believe he is a dark horse. He's the one that's going to surprise everybody. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to the top when the insiders are saying that he runs up and is the top Aprilia man.
Yeah, and then I suppose that makes KTM look very bad. And
I know.
Throw a leg over and I think that's actually when I kind of look ahead to 2023, and we'll discuss this more so closer to the time. But I think 2023 is more so actually going to be a year of people proving that it was the bike and not them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have Polo Spagro. You have Miguel Oliveira, you have Raul Fernandez. There's three off the top of my head that are like, okay, you have Alex Marquez, so four. So like if they can turn around and be like moving up through the grid, and they're like, well, maybe the Honda. Well, look, Honda we know is crap, right? Yeah. KTM is turning a corner, and like. For me, probably the biggest pressure on a rider is Raul Fernandez. He has to perform.
I don't think he's going to do. I'm saying it now, everybody. I don't think Raul Fernandez is going to do squat next year. You heard it here, folks. First here, folks.
Yes, and I'll remind Jake that he said it if he's completely wrong.
Yes. Watch him win the title next year. Yeah.
Yes. In other news, I don't know. Did you see that Dovizioso broke his wrist in his motocross accident?
No, I didn't see it. This is the reason that they said in their contracts you don't ride motocross because it doesn't help you as a rider. By the way, that's another fallacy. Yeah.
It's the most ugliest break you will see. Like you can see the bone that is actually shifted across. Yeah, it's a real manky. And in typical motocross style or motocross style, I suppose. Obviously, he hit the ground. There was no ambulance around, so the picture that they have of it is that his arm was actually they used a stick. and some duct tape as a
It's a
splint.
brace. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? To keep it. I was just like, oh my god, do you know what I mean? MotoGP rider to fucking this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
For motocross, you go up and you fly through the air, and once you make a mistake, you're up in the air. Gravity takes over. There's no getting out of it. There's no correcting it, and you come down.
Well, it's not. It's not up in the air bit, and it's not the mistake bit. It's like when you come down, you stop.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Gravity takes over. Bang.
No. But like on a MotoGP bike, you hit the ground, you slide.
You skid.
Right?
Yeah.
This is like it's just
dud. Yes.
It's like crunch. Yes. Do you know what I mean? So,
and they're doing it because there's fun. That's a myth. Oh, I do it for training. They just say that because they want to do it because it's fun. Flat tracking it helps you with MotoGP when they're sliding 100 mile an hour around a dirt track. Okay.
I will admit, going over a tabletop is fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Flying through the air is fun.
Fun, right? But it's not training for MotoGP.
No. It's just fun. You're going out there to enjoy yourself, have a bit of crack, and So, do want to ask a very specific question. Sean put this in. Hello, Sean.
Hello, Sean. Welcome to the site.
So, what manufacturer's latest spec bike would you buy? And does MotoGP influence your purchase?
Oh, yes. Me, I'm a tech guy, though. Yes, it does. Because it shows the company's prowess at building. What can they do? Are they good? You know what I mean? The technology behind the build. Yes. I bought one for MotoGP off of World Superbike. When MV pulled the miracle season of getting 4th and 5th out of a 20-year-old engine, 20-year-old chassis, I went out and bought another MV F4RR RC. So I can tell you right now. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, no. I am a sound whore, and it's the sound. It's the sound of a bike that I will actually go and like.
Oh, why don't you? Nothing sounds better than an Aprilia RSV4.
I had one, but I kept going through the gearbox.
That was that stupid thing you did with a spring. But anyhow,
yeah. But like it is very, very hard to beat an RSV4 with an Austin can on the back.
Oh, that's what I had. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh
my God! Straight out, let her breathe. Whoa. Do you know what I mean? Like your grandchildren would fucking hear it, and they haven't even been born yet. Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I would lean on no, but I would agree with you in terms of in the tech. Do you know what I mean? I would look at the bike's tech and kind of say, is that something that I want? So if I was tomorrow morning going out and buying a bike cash in the love or in the hand, would it be a MotoGP manufacturer's bike that I would buy? And I don't think so.
Yeah, I can tell you an odd fact on that. You know, when Suzuki, no, I'm not counting. This is above and beyond the super bike sales going down, sport bike going down. When Suzuki announced that they were pulling out of MotoGP, their GSXR sales went down 30% immediately.
So there is some correlations there still. So the racetrack Sunday, still Monday, or still on Monday. That's interesting.
But that's different than a brand like I'm going to buy a bike because they won. That's more of a I have no trust in the brand.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Now
that's what MotoGP brings. It brings trust in the manufacturer as a whole, not as a bike to bike. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose again, like if I didn't have a Yamaha already in the shed, would I buy a Yamaha because it's in MotoGP? No, I don't think so either. Do you know what I mean? Like, I liked the sound from the R1. I love the sound from a tuned R6, by the way. That's sweet too, on an Acra pipe. But I like Yeah, I would say for me, if I was going there, if I was going to go to a dealership today and buy a brand new bike, it would probably be an RSV4 again
Yeah. Yeah,
with the
you only
can,
had
of
that
course.
weird. Yeah, you only had that weird spring thing. Your luck. The only time they ever had a glitch was that spring return spring on
Yeah,
the transmission.
yeah, pain in the fucking arse because it
It
took
was
me
a
like
half
three.
year deal too. By the way, I looked it up. Yeah,
It took three gearboxes, like, do you know what I mean? And like
yeah,
your man was coming back to me and he's like, "You're fucking doing something to it." And it's like, I'm fucking writing it the way it's supposed to be.
yeah.
Just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
the
was
one
like, well,
glitch they had. No, they had another glitch in that bike. It was the somebody was 2016. They had the EXPU valve in the exhaust for the emissions. And I don't think any manufacturers ever came out with an EXPU valve in the exhaust that's not had problems. Think about it.
well, the first thing we do here in Ireland is just change the pipe.
Yeah, we're not allowed anymore. 13
No,
states. Yeah, it's in
well,
the United
we
States. You're not
don't.
allowed now.
Yeah, we don't have MOTs or anything for bikes over here. We have them for cars, but not for bikes.
We don't have that. We don't have it for bikes, but if at 14 states total, if a dealer puts a pipe on, the first fine's 50,000. The second fine is 550,000.
What?
Yep.
For putting a fart can on?
Yep.
Wow, that's an expensive.
Now you can do it yourself. Okay, you can do it yourself.
And how much is that fine?
Nothing. But what happened was in those 14 states, none of the dealers sell pipes because the pipes have gotten. It's not easy to put a pipe on anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Ducati, you have to take the bike half apart to put a performance exhaust on. But that's the way it is. And yeah, when California has the rules, and then 13 other states said whatever you do, we'll do.
That's interesting that you mentioned this because I was looking at loopholes about I don't know if you know, but with Brexit, the UK literally formally left the EU trade, whatever, right? So now all bikes that are brought in from the UK, you have to pay VAT or tax on,
Really?
right? So that's like 10, 20% or something of the value of the bike, up that the revenue set for the value of the bike, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, Jesus, this is fucking terrible. Like, how would you get around it? And a fella told me, you take the engine out and you go and you register the bike, the chassis, right? So the bike is invaluable, right? But there's no real value to the bike because there's no engine.
Yeah.
Right? And then you say, oh yeah, I'm just going to fix up the bike and whatever, try and buy an engine or whatever. And then let's just say the bike is worth 15 grand. Now, let's just say now it has to be over a year and 6,000 miles or whatever on the clock of the bike or whatever. So you can bring it in cheap. So you pay low level of tax, whatever. You get it registered in Ireland then as an Irish bike. Put the engine back in, away you go. Save yourself a couple of grand.
So you're gonna have to do that with my bike. I kicked the bucket. I give you that. You got to take the engine out to bring it over.
I have to get someone over there to take the engine out.
Oh, it ain't gonna happen. You're not gonna find it here. You got to pay that $2 grand, but you're giving you the bike, so it works out.
It works out.
Yeah. That's a good lead in, by the way. I want to tell everybody that when people say that they think their bikes of 90s and 80s were better than the bikes now, they're not. The new bikes, the better metal, better engineering. But the big thing about them is when you see the first oil change when it says 600 miles, okay, you have to do it because new modern engines are better and they have much tighter tolerances in the engine.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that first break-in, and that there's tons of metal in the oil, and it's supposed to be that way because the engine's so tight. If you don't, right? Yeah. If you don't, and you say, "Oh, I'll do it with 2,000 miles like I used to," now you have 2,000 miles of this, oil shit feel, metal shaving oil that you're running through the bike, and you're with all the good intentions. Figure it's only 2,000 miles. You can't do that anymore, or you'll have a bike that burns oil, no matter what brand it is. So when you get a new bike, like BMW, the first oil change, it on the dashboard it says needs service, first service immediately. You can't even get miles per hour on the bike. Like if you go to drive without it, it's just the one big screen. It says that, so you have to bring it into the dealer. You know, it's worth that first. When they say 600 miles, do it, and then that engine will last longer than the older engines ever did. You can actually get 200,000 miles out of the engines.
Funny. It's funny you got on about that, right? So, as you know, I'm a big two-stroke fan, and I have an engine builder in the UK called Mike Hemingway, and he's actually ex-Aprilia MotoGP, 500s.
Yeah, I remember.
And he does engines only for a select few people. He does it as a hobby now. Like he's in his 70s, right? And anytime you get an engine done by Mike, when the engine comes back in a crate, there's like a little logbook, right? But it's not a logbook of saying, this is what I've done. It's like, put engine into bike. Do you know what I mean? Connect all the things, right? And it brings it through. But like he will go through the starting phase, right? So when I would, the first time that I would start the engine, I was rev it only to 3,000 RPMs for 4 minutes.
Yes.
Right? Then I'd have to wait and leave it cool. So it's cool to the touch. And then again, next time then drove for 5 minutes. And this is just the thing. And then it's like, remove the oil. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's all, and this is like, and he just said, like, if you don't remove the oil and something happens to it, he's like, I'll know by the scoring on the pistons if you've removed or changed the oil or whatever. So I find it quite funny that you said. We have one last question to go through, and this is more kind of aimed at you because I suppose I can answer it as well. But Dave asked,
"Hello, Dave.
Hello, Dave. How are you doing, Dave?
Welcome to site.
If you have sold a bike, what is the one bike that you regret selling?"
You go first. I'll think about that. I have so many bikes.
So years ago, I sold my very first Aprilia RS 125 Mark 1. She was the grey Extrema model. And anything that I got, no, how would I say? This is the first bike that I ever broke 117 miles an hour with. I did 119. But at the time, that was the fastest 125cc in the market. And I was one of the lucky people that had one. I bought it brand spanky new. And I sold it, and I didn't know where it went. I can't remember why I sold it. I had to sell it, I think. And for years, I was like, miss that little baby. And you know the way you kind of hope to see the bike around so that you know it's still alive and not crashed in some fucking ditch by some dickhead. But I never, ever saw it again. Until one day, I just happened... I was collecting it, John, those golf buggy battery for a golf, Joe, like the 3-wheel golf buggies that people had. I was collecting one of them for my brother-in-law, and there was a bike shop. And a lot of old school kind of bikes in there, and I was just like, oh, looking around. Then over into the corner, what did I see?
Your bike.
I saw a 97C. And I was like, oh, that's a grey Aprilia Extreme, and I just saw 97C. I couldn't see the rest of the number plate, and I went over and I was like, and I knew there was a specific mark on the swing arm. I looked at the swing arm. There she was, and I says to him, man, is like, says, is that for sale? He's like, well, if you fucking take it out of here today, he says you can have it. So I put it into the back of the van there, and I took it home with me, and. Yeah, I did it completely back up. It was probably the hardest rebuild that I've ever had to do because she used the 123 engine. And getting parts for a 123 engine are really, really hard. They now use a 122 engine. But yeah, she's back home, back in the shed. And so I went through years of regret, but I bought her and I made her look good again.
Mine, I guess, would be I had a 2012 Aprilia RS-V4, totally worked. The BST rims, the engine, the whole 9 yards. Even had Aprilia Racing Department tune it. Okay, yeah, via computer with another mechanic. And it the first mechanic I had to fire because he was so incompetent. But I went to another mechanic, I got it and had him do it. But it was absolutely, I mean, laser sharp handling. Like I said, the sound is incredible. I had the whole pipe, like I said, the Aprilia race team. Aprilia used to do all that shit for free. You could call them up, and if you bought the bike through Aprilia, for racing, they gave you a discount. They tuned it. Oh, it's phenomenal. They used to bend over backwards for you. And I sold it to a friend of mine who I had over yesterday working on my TV, helped me out for the races. And he's an engineer, and he has it. And I got to give a second one. I had a 2006 Triumph. Now, don't laugh too hard, guys. A Triumph Sprint 1050 3-cylinder ST 1050. Which I worked back into a super bike because it was originally the ST was supposed to be a super bike, and at the last minute they made it a sport tour. That I took all the sport touring shit off, dropped 60 pounds, worked the engine, put a new suspension in it, Nitron suspension, which is probably the best suspension bang for your buck. It is the best suspension bang for your buck on the market from England, and it handled unbelievably. And that's the bike, by the way, the instructors use on track days. It was big on track days because you could go fast on it all day, and it out-handled the CBR 1000, my CBR 1000 RR. See, I was lucky enough to have a racer on hand, professional racer, so he would test all my bikes, so I could get a lap time every bike. Which one's best? Yeah. That's how I know my MV was my fastest bike clockwise. You know what I mean? More than even faster than my Ducati, the V4R, which was really surprising because it handles so well, and that has a ton of power because that was worked to the nines. Yeah, the one you're getting. So
yes, we'll definitely have to bring that to the Isle of Man.
Yeah, well, and here we can't get anybody to fix it. We have no techs. We're lucky to get an oil changed right. So
perfect. Right. Well, look, we will wrap up there for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Remember to go to the community tab, vote which day you want the Simon Crayfair interview to come out, and we will see you all again next week. And thanks for joining.
Take it easy, folks. See you next week.
See you next week.